Okay, good afternoon all. That's really hard to see screen. That's about the best I can do. Cool, so today we're talking about higher order functions. Firstly, what is a higher order function? Does anyone know? Could anyone give me a definition in a couple of lines? A function in a function? Any other options? Or a nested function? Yeah, definitely along the right lines. Anyone else? So a higher order function, all we really mean by it is a function that either returns a function, so a function that will return a function declaration inside of it, or a function that accepts another function as an argument. So it could be either of those or a combination of both of those things, yeah? And that would make it a higher order function. They're used quite a lot in JavaScript, so functions are very powerful in JavaScript. We can pretty much treat them like any other data type. And we can assign functions into variables, so we can have things like anonymous functions. So yeah, we can do a lot with functions in JavaScript. So today we're going to focus on the two types of higher order functions. We'll look at them in isolation to begin with, and then we'll look at some questions that combine the two aspects, yeah? So either passing a function in as an argument or returning a function from another function. So yeah, you were pretty close, guys, with your definitions. Okay, so yeah, first type then is a function that perhaps returns another function. So let's say we just want to return a string from this inner function. Any particular messages today? Remember fire drill at 3? Yeah? I can't write 3 PM, that's not very... 1500 hours, yeah? So we could do something like that. And then how would we call this function? Will it be any different? So we would usually just... Say again, sorry? I'm not fully sure what you mean, but I'll come back to that point in a second. So usually if we have just one function, right, which I've called higher order function type 1, then we just invoke it, right, by typing its name and then typing some parentheses, and that should invoke the function. So in this case, what are we going to get returned?
We're going to get a function from that.
Yeah, we're going to get a function being returned, right? A function declaration, whereas eventually I want to return just this string. So let's just run that now and see what happens. So we've got an anonymous function being returned. Could we actually name it inside of here? Yeah, so we could also, oh, that's if I spelled it right. We could also name our functions inside of another function. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. So now that returns my fire drill function as a function declaration. We haven't executed that fire drill function. We've just defined it. We've just stored it in memory, if you like, ready for later use. We haven't run line number 4, this inner code to return the string yet. So how would I do that? Yeah, absolutely. We can put another parentheses afterwards. Is that what you were getting at, Borik, or were you saying something else?
So I was going to say HOF type 1 and then fire drill parentheses inside the HOF parentheses.
So inside here?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. That's how I would have thought.
So that means you're passing fire drill into... Yeah, so what do you think that's going to say? Is it going to complain about something? Yeah, I think it's going to say fire drill not defined, right? Because we're trying to pass in fire drill to our higher order function type 1, and there at the moment there is no fire drill being defined yet. We haven't run this inner code at this stage. Yeah, fire drill not defined. Fantastic. Yeah, so it's a reference error. So let's add some breakpoints maybe just to clarify the flow of things. Still complaining about that. We've got rid of that. Don't worry. No, still complaining. Let me just shut that one and see whether it'll stop complaining. Nope, definitely not. Okay, don't worry. Hopefully it will go away. So I'm going to put a breakpoint on. That was interesting. I click line 2. I get one on line 6. Fair enough. It's doing the end of the function. We can live with that. Let's go with outside of the function. Line 7, line 3, and line 4. Okay. What will be the execution order of those breakpoints? Does anyone want to start me off? What line will run first, guys? 7 goes. I need to type Ricardo then. Yeah, Ricardo Mark 2, right? And then we've got, who else we've got for it today? Cool, we'll leave it there for now. So, Richard, you reckoned? 7, 3, 6, 4. Yeah? Oh, no 4. Yeah, yeah. Understood. Anyone else? Just to clarify, the 6 I've put outside, essentially I wanted 6 to be 2, but it wouldn't let me put one on 2.
Oh, okay.
So have you changed your answer now, Richard? 7, 6. You still.
6 is when it starts the function, or
6 is meant to just be the function declaration, but it's not letting me put a breakpoint on line 2.
6, 7, 3.
Okay, yeah.
I'll put it in now.
7, 3, 4 for you? Yeah, no, cheers for having a stab. You could be right. Vince, Porik, and Aeneas are definitely not right at the moment because they haven't attempted anything. Any guesses, guys, or shall I just count you out of this round? There's only 4 breakpoints, only about 5 lines. Come on, Vince. 6. 6. Okay, 6. Aeneas, any ideas?
I'm going to go with Richard.
Go with Richard. That's always a fairly tactical decision.
You said
There's not thousands of options either.
No, there's not thousands of options either. Sorry, that's me.
what were you saying about line number 2 and line number 6?
So I wanted to put a breakpoint on line number 2.
Yeah.
Instead, it only let me put one on line number 6. So I put it here on line number 6, which should be just the closing of the function. Yeah. So they should be
Okay.
similar in the order.
6, 7, 3.
6, 7, 3. 6, 7.
Basically agree with
3.
Richard and I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. We all agree with Richard. It's 6, 7, 3 here.
Okay.
You can't change it now.
Fine. Let's
See, this is a strategic strategy.
give it a go. So I would have thought it would have stopped on 6, but let's see if it ever touches 6, then it might just be ignoring it, unfortunately. But 7 is in there somewhere, and then what comes next? We think 3 is going to come next, right? And then 4 doesn't run. So let's see whether that happens. Yeah, it goes to 3 next, and then 4 doesn't run. So it just skipped 6 completely. But essentially what is happening is your function gets declared, right? On line 2. That gets stored in memory. Nothing inside of that function runs yet. Then you invoke the function. So it runs what is inside the function. But that is just another function declaration. So in other words, we just declare the function without running the code inside. Yeah, so hopefully that clarifies that a little bit. Unfortunately, it didn't let me put a breakpoint on line 2, and it just skipped it when it tried to put it on 6. But okay, hopefully we get the idea. Cool. Yeah, so we worked out that we could not write fire drill inside because fire drill has yet to be defined, and anyway, it wouldn't be scoped out there, would it? Because it's defined inside. Yeah, so Richard suggested another alternative. Do we just put another set of parentheses? So in other words, when we just had one set of parentheses like that, we could see that we returned a function. We returned fire drill. So to invoke fire drill, we just stick another set of parentheses on the end. And that returns our string. If this was really weirdly badly written code and it was nested function within nested function, and then that function itself returned the string, someone else apart from Richard, how would I invoke that function to still return remember fire drill at 3 p.m? You would need 3 sets of parentheses, exactly. And as long as I've written that correctly, we still get remember fire drill at 3. Yeah. And just to clarify, if we put the wrong number of parentheses, then we get blah 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 is not a function. Yeah. So it's not like we can just put an unlimited number of parentheses and it works it out for us. We have to specify the exact number that we need. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's one type of higher order function, right? A function that returns another function. Any questions on that before we move on? Can we rewrite that a lot nicer way?
So what about the arrow notation?
So could we rewrite this using arrow notation then? Yeah, that would be a lot nicer. So, are we still going to have one return statement, or do you want to start from the middle? So we want to have a function here that now returns this, right?
So then we have, so inside of the first set of parentheses we have fire drill, parentheses, arrow.
Fire drill parentheses arrow like that.
And another set of parentheses. Oh no, sorry, I meant inside your,
Huh?
yeah. That one.
Because we've got a function there. So where does do I need any returns? Or do you want to write higher order function as well as a... No, we better leave that one, right, as a normal function declaration. So you want one return statement? Ooh, let's fix up these. That many, yeah. So you want to do something like that? Is that what you were suggesting?
Yeah.
Hmm. So is it, what's stopping us here then? So you wanted fire drill in there as well? Will that work with fire drill in there? Oops.
You need to then invoke the function?
Hmm? Invoke what function?
Well, I was thinking when you want to invoke type 1, or whatever its name is.
Yeah. So that invokes type 1.
Okay.
So if we do that, it returns all of that. So type 1 returns an arrow function, which itself returns another arrow function, yeah? At the moment. And that arrow function returns our string. So is it not just the same? Yeah?
So you still need, to invoke 3 functions.
We don't have to, of course. We could just return it directly, right? But we're practicing functions that return a function.
Yeah. I thought there might be like a simpler way, or a different way to invoke
You could probably define higher order function type 1 without return as well. If you just higher order function equals constant higher order function equals, and then just string out
You want to have higher order function type 1 as a variable. So have it as a... Yeah. So we could do that, and then we could equal the arrow function, yeah?
That's exactly what I've been saying all along.
Is it? Oh, very good. Oh yeah, and I don't need the last curly brace. And that does look very confusing, but technically it's about as short as we can write it, yeah? That should still return the text. So we've created a function expression, higher order function type 1, equal to an arrow function that returns an arrow function that returns an arrow function that returns a string. Clear as mud, yeah? But but the key thing is that when we have functions that return another function, we need to use this sort of syntax, yeah? Invoke them one by one. Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's move on to the second type, and then we'll look at combining them. We'll look at some example questions on the platform. So the other type of higher order function is a higher order function that takes another function as an argument this time. Yeah, so this time down here, when we are invoking the function, we're passing in a function as an argument. So rather than just passing in the string that says hello, we're passing in the whole function that returns hello.
I was confusing the two.
You were confusing the two.
That's why I defined for the previous
Okay, yeah. So this notice is in a different place now. It's not inside of the other function. It's in the function invocation. Yeah, so we're passing it as an argument this time. Cool. So as we're passing a function as an argument, this time we actually need to put something up here, yeah? What should we call it? Say what, Vince? You being stupid again? I can't even hear what he's saying, so I'm just going to...
I'm awesome, he said.
Oh, I'm awesome. Right. I know I am. Thank you, Vince. So if we just do whatever, you could call it, well, I don't use the word keyword function, but you could call it FNA or something for function A, function 1, whatever, yeah? So if we just return function 1, what are we going to return here? You're saying nothing? But has FN1 hello? Are you just saying hello to me, or you think we're going to return hello? Okay, so we've got let me just get it from the other screen, will be quicker. So Richard hasn't answered yet, so you can't copy him. So Vince has gone for, are you going nothing, or are you going for hello, Vince? You're going for hello. Okay. Subtle difference. Porrick said hello as well. Anyone else? Ewan's going nothing. Do you think there'd be an error or just an empty string? What do you think? Empty array? Something like that? Okay. Aeneas? What will that return? So we've got our function down here that's been passed in. We've named it fn1. We're then returning fn1. What does fn1 return? Hello? What's that? Yeah, okay. Richard?
It returns a function that returns the.
So it returns the function declaration. So something like
I don't know, why do you agree over here?
something like that, yeah? A function that itself returns hello. Cool. Let's run it just to find out who's right. You know, we never know. Yeah. Oh, in fact, it doesn't actually say it's a function, eh? Yeah, interesting. Cool. So, if we did want it to return hello, which usually we're going to, how do we make it do that?
We need to return fn1 parentheses.
Like that? What do we think, guys? Is that a good suggestion? Yes, says Ewan. Yeah. So we just need to invoke the function. So we've got the function declaration, just invoke it again as usual. This time we're obviously invoking it inside of another function rather than doing anything here. So yeah, that's it really, yeah. They're the two types, and of course we could have multiple arguments, multiple functions being passed in. That's not an issue. So just to play around with that a little bit, I've got a little separate snippet here called Hoff play, and that's a higher order function play, nothing to do with David Hasselhoff's spare time. So in here we have three functions. We have an add function, a subtract function, and a multiply. And essentially what I want to do is I want to multiply together the result of add and subtract. So I want to multiply together the result of calling the add function and the subtract function. Let's see if I can just get rid of the console for now to give us a bit more room. Let's move that over. Can even move that over for now. Nope, it's going to have to be that one. Okay, so it's not completely finished, but I've given you enough template, I think, to have a go at it. Yeah, we can rename them if you want, so I haven't necessarily specified all the names, but it doesn't really matter, does it? We're multiplying them together, so at the end the result is going to be the same, but the way that we've put it in here, add becomes fna and subtract becomes fnb, yeah, because of the order. Yeah, because of the argument names. I mean, you can have fns if you want, just to be a bit clearer, yeah. Add function and subtract function. And then, so far I've just done return fna times fnb. But if I run that, it's not going to return the result that we expect, yeah? It's going to return... oh yeah, but let me change that first. And then it didn't return hello, just to be clear. That was left over from the previous time. So it returns not a number. So we're trying to multiply things. Multiply is looking for numbers to return. So it says, hang on, these aren't numbers. What are they at this stage? Two functions. Yeah, two functions, two function declarations. So we haven't run the inner code again. So how about I want to add, I don't know, let's say 2, 2, and I want to subtract, let's say 5 and 2.
You simply replace the arguments with the numbers.
Where in here?
The one below up, the final one, so the add and subtract.
Right.
Below.
Oh, but here.
You just replace them with the numbers.
So you want to do in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want, essentially it would be that, right? 2 and 2 and then 5 and 2 based on the example that I gave there. Right, so it's a valid suggestion. Won't work? Why won't it work? I think it works as well. Yeah. It's not the original way that I intended to write it, but I think it will work. So you're going to call multiply, and then multiply is going to pass in the result of add 2 and 2 to fna. So add 2 and 2 will do return 2 plus 2, so that gets 4. So this bit will become 4. And then subtract will do the similar sort of thing. X minus y, getting 5 minus 2 to be 3. So in other words, we pass the values 4 and 3 into multiply, and then we've just times them together. The naming's gone a bit wrong because we're now no longer passing in functions, we're passing in actual numbers, but it should work. We should get 12 out, right? And we do, indeed. Yeah? So that's one way you can do it. You can be really modest like Vince and just... Or, if we wanted to actually pass in some functions, we're going to need to leave it like that, so we can't invoke the function in that step. So how do I then get my values of 2 and 2 and 5 and 2 into here? Again, there's numerous ways we can do it, right? But
Are we replacing A and B?
so you want to replace it in there?
That's the only thing I can think
No. Can I leave my functions alone so that I can reuse them again and again for different numbers?
I was asking if that was an option.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a great option in this case, because I might want to use that add function or that subtraction function again. Yeah, so we could have declared A, B, X and Y somewhere else and imported them or something, so we could have had lots of const or whatever. Right, let's use let, right? They're numbers, we might want to change them. So we could have had lots of those, let A equal blah blah blah, and then that would work without passing anything extra into multiply. So we could do it like this. Oh no, why is that still hello? It should be this one. Alright. You get what I'm trying to do. we had 2 and 2. 5 and 2. Cool. Will it work if we've just declared them outside like that? Does this function have access to A? Huh? Does it, you think it does or it doesn't? This was your possible solution, was it, to do something like this?
I was going to say, should you put let or something somewhere? But,
I've done let there. Right. I think A is defined inside that function, yeah. It should be able to access that value of 2 outside of it. Just go up the scope chain, yeah, 1 level up. Same for X and Y. And then now,
You want to move the parameters A and B.
yeah, because look, this A and this A are different, yeah, they've got different scope. So the A here is going to look for this value of A, which is going to correspond to whatever we pass in there. Yeah, so it's not an ideal solution again. So we could have done something like that. Yeah, but then we're still messing around with those values each time.
In the multiplier function, we could say return f and a and then call it on 2, 2 and fs colon 5, 2.
Yeah, I think for now, that's the nicest way, right? So we've looked at when we pass functions into another function, then we need to invoke them at some point. But this time, rather than just invoking them and not passing any arguments, let's invoke them and pass the actual values that we want. What do we have? 5 and 2, yeah? Cool. Will that work?
how does it know to look at like the add and subtract function?
Because we've passed add in here.
Function handles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the function's been declared there. We've passed it into multiply and given it a name of fna. Same with subtract, passed in there, and then we invoke it inside of multiply. And we do get 12, yeah? Yeah, the only other way that we could do it really is we just have to have some extra arguments somewhere, I guess, or we could have an object, and then we could pass that object into multiply as well to make it a bit more dynamic, right? Rather than hard coding multiply. Yeah, but we'll leave it there for now, and we'll look at some. No, I multiple ways, right? As with anything to do in JavaScript. So.
So when you write it like that, it just knows line 15, add, comma, subtract is. How does it correlate to this? Just because it's in the brackets, parentheses.
So you're talking about down there in the multiply on line 15?
And then it just shoots up to line 2.
Yeah, I mean, we declare a function here, right? So it's just stored in memory. Multiply is stored in memory for later. And then when we invoke multiply by just putting these parentheses after it, then that will run this inner line of code. If it tries to run it now, we haven't assigned any value to fna or fns. So we need to give them some value. Yep, so that runs that bit, and that, well, yeah. When that finally gets invoked, subtract finally gets invoked, it will run that. Yeah, we could add breakpoints again to this if you want and see whether we can give it a go. For all the people at home. it going to let me? Where shall I put one? I will put one, if I can, on 2. No, it's still not going to let me. Let me put one on 7 or 11. Yeah. So let's try it like that then. What's the order? So if I could, I'd say 2, 7, 11, and then something. So we can take off 4, 9, and 13. And we'll assume that 2, 7, 11 comes first. Then what? 15, yeah. Then can we have multiple breakpoints on 3? That would be nice. Ooh, nice. So yeah, so 3 part 1. Then it goes to where? Where does FNA, when it gets called, where does that run? Eight, yeah, agree, Ian. Yeah, fantastic. Then back to 3, and then finally finish off with 12, right? Hopefully. Let's see. Yep, so 15 was the first one that we entered. And then just want to give it a bit more room so we can see it. That's fine. Okay, we'll leave it like that. So 15. Then what do we say next? We said part of 3. Yep, so now you can see that this first part of 3 is stopped on. Then we said it will go to 8. Fantastic. So it gives us a result from FNA of 4, from the add function of 4. Then it will move on, go back to 3, FNS. Yeah, and then it will run FN of S, call FN of S, which will be the subtract function. So it will jump down to whatever line that was, 12 or something. Yeah. And then finally it would obviously finish executing line number 3, add them together and return the result, which was 12. Did it return anything? Yeah, it returned 12. Cool. Let's look at some specific examples on the platform just to get used to these 2 types of functions and when we use which syntax. Training, right? Yep. So what type of higher order function is this? One that receives functions as arguments or one that returns a function? Go on then, Richard, put them out of their misery.
And that takes 2 functions and returns another.
Yeah, so it's not returning another function, so I don't need to write return function in here, definitely not. Instead, we're taking functions in here. Yeah, we've got an arrow function, one there, and we've got 2 arrow functions being passed in there. Spread it, why do I need to spread it? So you're saying do that, something like functions.
Yeah, and we'll update it
So you'd have an array of functions that way, yeah? Does it make it any simpler?
Then if we call multiply, we can just put many functions that we want in it.
Okay, let's go this way. I haven't done this way yet. Let's have a look. So let me just call that functions. So we've now got an array of functions. What do you want to return then, Richard?
Function dot reduce.
Functions dot reduce.
Yes. Open bracket. And another open bracket, I guess. Oh yeah, A and B inside there. And return A times A parentheses times B parentheses.
Right.
Can you apply reduce on function?
Return A times B.
I think we still fail on the third one. I don't think these brackets for the A and B.
Yeah, they're still functions, so we definitely need the brackets. Otherwise, we're going to just multiply function declarations again, and we get not a number again. So you don't think that will fail on the third one, no,
I think
Richard?
it would fail on the third one.
You think it would fail? Yeah.
We're calling on an array, but I don't think the reduce would work on an array of length 1.
Yeah.
So perhaps we check the length of the array and then we'll call the array straight out. We'll call the function straight out as the first element.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, exactly. You're still going to have the issue on that last one. I mean, can I simplify it a bit? Because I don't really like putting the functions in an array and using reduce. So
Can you experiment? Can you remove the brackets for A? Actually,
experiment. Yeah. Remove the brackets.
brackets for A. See if it works.
The genius is fleeting, isn't it, Vince? It's gone away now again. No, I mean, if we can, to avoid confusing people, I just want to simplify it a little bit. I'm just going to have my two functions again. Yeah, I did. And then I just want to do a ternary, right? So if we have FNB, if we have a second function, then do FNA multiplied by FNB, the result of it. Otherwise, just return Fn of A, right? Could we just do something like that instead? Yes, we pass two functions in, if we've got them. In the third case, in the third test case, FNB just doesn't get assigned a value, so that will just be undefined. So we're saying, is FNB truthy or falsy? Well, in the first test case, it's that function, so that will be truthy. In the second test case, it's that function, so it will be truthy. In the third test case, it's undefined, so it will be falsy. So in case 1 and 2, it runs this line, and in case 3, it should just run that. So I think that will work. Yeah? So I think that's about as concise as we can write it, really. Just don't forget to invoke the function, so you're getting the numbers returned. Otherwise, we're going to get not a number again. Yeah? Yeah, it says you didn't return anything, but it's going to return not a number, yeah? A falsy value. Okay, cool. So that was passing arguments into a function. Then let's find a reverse case. So that's still the same sort of pattern, yeah? We're passing a function in here. This time the function has some arguments of its own, so that's the only difference there. I'm not going to do that one now because we're a bit limited on time. This one looks like a different pattern to me, right? We've got two sets of parentheses. So this is that other type of higher order function that is a function within a function. So based on that, what should I write first? Return what? Return function. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, you want an arrow? No, hold on. So if we've used the function keyword, then we can't do an arrow function, yeah? And then that function itself will return something. And what would it return in this case?
Number times 3. And we'll put number
Yeah, I'll come to that. But see that whatever number gets passed into the second function, so that's going to be the inner function, we're timesing that number by 3. 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 3 is 9. Hopefully I'm not bringing too much childhood trauma back for anyone in their maths lessons. Yeah, and then where does that number come from? Well, it's passed as an argument into the second function invocation. So first set of parentheses means the multiply. Second set of parentheses means this inner function here. Yeah, so that's why I put num on the inner function. If I put it up there, would it still work? No, definitely not, right? Because that's trying to get this value that's passed in there. So there's nothing being passed in there. So that would be undefined. So therefore, it must reference this second set of parentheses be passed in there. Missing semicolon. Yeah, all right. And then it works. So that was the other method. Functions that return functions. Look for that sort of syntax. Double parentheses. Looks really weird when you first see it, but know that that translates into a function that returns another function. How many times have I said function in this workshop? Hopefully quite a lot to drill it into. Alright, moving on. So what's this one? Which type of higher order function? Does it accept a function as an argument or return a function within a function? Return a function within a function. Yeah. How many nested functions have we got? How many levels? Let's say this is one level just to have one to begin. Yeah, so we've got 3, right? So we need 2 more function declarations inside of there. Do you want to do an arrow this time? Yeah. And another one? Okay. So number 1 here or number 1 there? That would be number 2. Agreed. Good. Very, very good. Yep. So number 1 there, number 2 there, number 3 there. Agreed. And then what do we do with all those numbers? Yeah, they're multiplied. Yeah. So 3 times 4 times 5 will give you 60. 6 times 4 times 2 will give you 48. So in other words, we want to do num1 star num2. Anything wrong with the elegance? Apart from the semicolon. Huh? Space in between, yeah, that's what I was looking for, right? So if I did it like that, operator star must be spaced, yeah? I was just checking we could all read it first before I spaced it out, because it's now cut it off the edge of the page, yeah? Good, very, very good. And the last one, what type of higher order function is this? One that receives functions as arguments, or one that returns another function within a function? Arguments? Okay, so I can see an argument there. What about this one? It's both, yeah? It's a function that returns a function, and the first function takes the function as an argument. Oof.
Oh, I see this one is okay.
It's combined, yeah? We have two types of higher order functions. Argument, return functions, yeah? This is both. So, what goes into my combine higher order function? Anything? So it's a function, yeah? So let's just specify it's a function. So I'll say fn, I just call it 1, is that okay, yeah? Any more arguments on that one? Just one? Yeah, because there's only one inside that first set of parentheses, yeah? Sorry, yeah, I didn't highlight the whole thing. Inside that first set of parentheses. Okay, good. I don't know why I've got double F there. What's that returning? fn1? Something like this, or not?
Would it be a function that represents the number 3? I mean, for the first example.
Yep, so we need another function. Yeah? Because we've got two sets of parentheses. So we're definitely returning another function. Agreed. What does that function return then? Or does it need any arguments first?
For the first, well, the second one.
Whoop, yep.
Put a number or whatever.
Yep, we'll just call it num. Awesome.
So
So,
invoke the first function.
so we need to invoke the first function. So fn1 parentheses to invoke it. Yeah.
And then num times 5 inside.
Inside. Ah. Num times 5. Okay.
So invoking the first function in order to times that number by 5 in order to get 15.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I like the idea. So, you've taken the 3, you've put it inside of the first function, and then multiplied it by 5, and that becomes that bit there, yeah? So the n in the first case is 3 times 5, and then when fn1 actually gets invoked, then it just returns 3 times 5, which in this case is 15. Does that pattern work for the rest of them? Let's have a look. So our 7 is our number there. So 7 times 5 gives us 35. Then that 35 gets passed into our function as the n. So we're invoking, well, yeah, it's a bit hard to say it like that, but whatever. 35 is there, and we do 2 times 35. Does that get us 70? Yep. Does the pattern hold for the last one? Number times 5. So the number was 2. That gets us 10. 10 comes in here. 10 plus 3, 13. Yeah, looks like that's the right pattern. The genius is back. Woohoo!
Don't encourage him.
Don't encourage him. Let's do what, sorry? Let's rewrite it. Okay, yeah, we're really keen on higher order functions. I like this. Go on then. Let's rewrite it.
So remove function.
This one?
The middle one, sorry. The middle one, sorry.
Let's remove both, right?
Okay. Very complicated. Read that function back, please.
Oh, you want it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So remove that one,
Yeah.
remove the curly braces.
Which ones? Line 2, line 4?
Line 2 or line 4.
Yep.
And remove the second return.
Remove the second return.
After num, do the arrow function equals arrow. That's it. I think that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Happy, guys? Confetti. Who was it suggested fireworks the other day? Was that anyone in here? Someone wanted fireworks instead.
Yeah, it's still remembering to write on the board today.
Huh?
Even better if
fireworks. Or fireworks sometimes. Can we get rid of this function as well? I think Richard suggested an option, right? So yeah, I've never actually tried this on the platform, but will it let us do it? Const combine function equals the argument. It's an arrow function. Yeah, so probably it's a bit harder to read, right? Or is that free? And that's the end of that. Thanks, guys.